Talk about the game. I mean, obviously a chance to go above Dagenham and end the season on a real high in front of your home fans, and presumably that's just motivation the players need.
Yeah, I think so. A decent home performance, which there haven't been enough of, would certainly go some way towards getting the frustration out from the season, the last couple of weeks, the last week or so. And just put a smile back on everyone's faces. That's what we're trying to do. We want to give everyone a bit of hope and belief that we're going to be good enough to put something together for next season, and also finish this season with 3 points on a bit of a high, and as you say, just maybe move up 1 or 2 places as well.
And how important is it for momentum for, I suppose, not just next season's performances, but also getting a few summer targets in as well?
Listen, I don't think it's going to make too much difference to momentum for next season for summer targets. Although if we do finish, 11th, then I'm sure it certainly sits better with me and the supporters and everybody else connected with the football club. It has been a frustrating season, and as I say, all I want to do is just put the team out. We've changed 1 or 2 things around. We've freshened it up, if you like, and the boys are just going to go out there with the instructions to go and entertain the crowd, go and give the crowd something to cheer about, go and work hard within the team structure to do what we have been trying to do all season, but not as well as we have wanted to at times. So that's the plan. The train's been bright, all week, and hopefully that just continues tomorrow.
How pleased have you been with the impact of the youngsters? Joe Hanks, particularly impressive last week.
Yeah, Joe worked hard. Let's not get carried away. Listen, he couldn't do any worse than what was put out there in the first half. By particularly, I thought the midfield was pretty inept on Saturday. But Joe come in and strengthened us. He showed what determination and grit and hard work can do, and he's got a pass in him as well. So yeah, there's 1 or 2 kids sort of who've going to get a chance in the next tomorrow maybe, and hopefully they take it. They're going to have to deal with the pitch not being the best. They're going to have to deal with a little bit of expectation from the crowd, but hopefully the crowd see that we've got 1 or 2 youngsters in the team and really get behind them and give them a boost. Because although the performances haven't been brilliant, we went 1-0 up against Southend, against Fleetwood, and we need some noise. I'm asking the supporters to get behind the players at the start of the game. Hopefully they'll like the lineup. They'll like the fact that we are giving a couple of youngsters a game, because they deserve it, and because it's the right stage of the season to do that. Maybe could have done a few weeks earlier if we'd have mathematically been sorted, and I didn't think it was perhaps right. But just get behind the team, get the boys who are wearing a Cheltenham shirt, and hopefully with some atmosphere and some more encouragement for everybody, then hopefully we can turn 1-0s into wins rather than 2-1 defeats.
How useful has it been that Joe's loan's been at Gloucester City? He's been playing his home games at Wadden Road, and a couple of thousand there for Cheltenham, 3,000 there for Cheltenham will seem like a lot fuller for him than it will for a few hundred for Gloucester City.
None of the boys will be fazed by a crowd. They show no fear, kids, sometimes. So I have no worries in that respect. Yeah, Joe did well at Gloucester. He's been out a couple of times on loan. He's had a tough season, Joe. Fallen behind a little bit at times, but showed great strength of character. He's a good kid. He's a really good kid. And I spoke to Tim Harris last week when I was calling him back, and Tim was very, very complimentary about him and was full of praise for him. So like I said before, 1 or 2 deserve a chance, and they're going to get that tomorrow.
Dagenham have lost 4 out of the last 5, but I'm sure you'll say it's all about you and what you do.
Yeah, it is. We've as a staff we've looked at them, a bit of analysis, but we're trying to concentrate on our own boys. Just give them the freedom, the structure to go and play, to go and work hard for each other, and try and first of all win the game, entertain the crowd, score some goals, defend properly, just the basics, and just enjoy themselves. And if they do that, then I think everybody will go home happy.
Injuries? How's the squad?
okay. Yeah, we're pretty much okay.
Thank you. Good luck.
Nice.
Cheers.
You said you didn't mean it literally when you said you wanted the season to end. I think everyone knows that. But are you quite excited now about the rebuilding potential? Chances to reshape the squad.
Yeah, of course I am. Of course, we've started to thinking about rebuilding for a number of weeks, but probably, it is the business end now where, this time next week we'll know who's been retained, who's been offered things, who's left the club or will be leaving the club, and it does. That's just what happens, and then of course you do. You need a bit of a breather, recharge the batteries, but that pretty much, with what's gone on this last week, it's just again all hands to the pump, and we're ahead of the game in terms of we know what we're trying to do. It's now making sure that we try and get those plans to come together.
Yeah. Do you at this stage, do you think you'll lose anybody that you want to keep next season? Because obviously there's a few that...
Possibly. But if that happens, that happens. We're not in a... We'll do everything we can as a club to do what we can to keep the ones we want. And hopefully we can have some good news early next week. But we might have to wait for one or two a bit longer than we anticipated, or would ideally like, and that throws it open to the bigger market out there. But listen, we're comfortable that we've done all we can, and now it's just a case of sitting tight, seeing what happens. And listen, there's going to be so many players out there. We already know there's so many players out there that are going to be free agents, going to be available, and some good ones. So, we know what we want. We know how we want to do things next season. I think that's been clear from the frustrating season that we've had this year. We know how we want to play. We're going to go out and try and recruit the players that fit into that mould that we want to play within, and go from there.
Yeah, you say it's been one of the most difficult seasons you've had because the expectation is so much higher than it was when you first came in. But do you think you'll come out of it as a much, learn from it and much improved manager next year?
Without a doubt. Well, I certainly hope so. Yeah, I mean, it's not been frustrating. I'm not worried about expectation. I want expectation. I want to be at a club that expects to win, and I've never criticised that. I just don't think, as a group, that we've been able to handle that. I don't think you look at times between goals that we've conceded, we haven't been able to handle. Taking the lead, obviously, because we've dropped so many points from winning positions. It's something that we need to improve at. Something that we need to make a marked, I say improvement, but also recognise it and try and do something about it on the training ground. There's game management, time management drills that we can put in place, and our recruitment has got to be right to start with. And our plans have got to be hopefully going to be right, but the recruitment's important, and then it's about looking forward to starting again and going again with hopefully I say better group's the wrong word, because these are a decent group, but we're just with a group that can handle and produce what we haven't been able to do this season.
Yeah, sometimes you can have some hugely talented individuals, but just don't quite find that blend as a team, and I think that's been the case.
I think that's been the case, and listen, I'm the manager. I have to hold my hands up at that, but I'm confident that we can get it right over the next couple of weeks and months ahead, and give it a right good go next year.
Cheers, Mark. Thank you.